Morning, all.
Morning.
Trevor, are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead, Les.
All right. Well, good morning. Welcome to the December 18th version of the Cannon Beach Community Services and Parks committee meeting. First of all, welcome, Stacy.
Thanks.
I'm not sure what else to say but welcome, but I'm sure glad you're here.
Thank you.
Thank you. So let me go ahead and call the meeting to order. First item of the agenda would simply be the approval of the minutes from last meeting. Since I wasn't in attendance, are there any corrections that need to be made? If not, I'll need a motion to approve in a second.
Oh, yeah. Oh, go ahead.
There was one about 100-mile radius. I think it meant, I don't know how many radius, but it was a tree cutting down. I'm trying to find it in my notes and I can't see it, but something about.
Let me see. It's 300 foot. Who gets
We're
notified?
notifying it, it's on a great one. I have to do a circle one.
Wow.
What is it, 100 feet? I guess the minute showed 100 miles according to Betty. I missed that.
I think 100-mile radius, so it's all the neighbors from that. No, I think 100 feet. 100 feet, sorry, you're right.
You notified both the minutes. Oh, notification. You need an assistant.
Yep. So we'll correct that to feet. Anything else? No, then motion to approve as amended.
Okay, I'll second. Okay.
And a second, thank you. All in favor, just raise your hand. Guess I should abstain since I wasn't here. Anyway, thank you. Do we have any public comment? Anyone in the audience?
No, we do not. Nobody's online.
Okay, all right, then we'll move straight ahead. Monthly state of the parks.
So I'm gonna make a quick update or a quick announcement on this real quick. After the parks team is done with their update, they're gonna be leaving this meeting because they had other issues to attend to out here in the city.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. Good morning. What we've done since our last meeting, that among other things, is planted 2 western red cedars, a sunset horseshoe, the exit to the RV park where all the elk sit. Hanging Christmas lights at various pump stations and the bandstand out there. Hold on a hall, we picked up a big debris pile and made one with the Nicole Bible volunteers. Main part, we're currently working on weeding the rose garden and trimming back the roses for next year. And then citywide, we've been doing storm cleanup and then trying to keep the catch basins clear so they can flow the water of the ocean.
And I might have mentioned last month that we cleaned all the interpretive signs on Sewell Boone Trail and we replaced 2 of them. They last about 4 years. So I actually talked to a sign guy about maybe redesigning them someday so they last longer. AJ and I teamed up to cover the recycle center for a week. Recycle guy Will was on vacation. Besides taking the nets off the soccer goal, AJ and the guys put them away so they're on the trail for the season. And speaking of soccer goals, this is one thing that AJ did this month was do a little bit of research. This is FYI, might even be you and Trevor. We talked to Tom after the meeting last week. AJ did a little bit of research about soccer field and the very bizarre idea that maybe we should consider a soccer field. And I should back up. We don't call this a soccer field. This is a public park where there happens to be soccer goals, people use it as they want. Same situation theoretically could exist at Nate Goose. The difference being that the ground doesn't get saturated. This is a filled-in wetland. Over there it drains and the ground is dry enough year round to play sports on it. And the potential area, the park that would be a grass area would be could be close to a full-size soccer field. At the very least, it would be bigger, it would be a rectangle. This is a bizarre trapezoid they play on. It's kind of square, it's not a rectangle at all. Soccer is a rectangle, and it'd be a much bigger field. And AJ actually talked to the director of the men's soccer league, who's been playing out here on Wednesdays for 20 years. And they were like really excited about the idea. Not that their league would go year round, but the goals wouldn't have to be put away. They could be over there or someone could utilize it. This is the biggest, most active sports area of any of our parks, but it's not usable for 4 or 5 months a year. I don't know how that information gets imparted to the city council, or was ever made in the Nate Goose decision, but it's something that should be at least, I think, considered before it's discarded.
Okay.
Here.
So it'd just be the Parks Committee would need to make a recommendation to the council, would that be the best?
Well, at least to talk about.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Okay.
And again, we don't wanna, we're not building a soccer stadium, but we have the grass portion of Nate Goose. If it was designed properly, would accommodate this event, better than this one.
Nothing stops you from making public comment when we discuss what that's gonna be turned into over there.
Yeah.
We can bring it up at that point.
And just as a PS, the two most organized uses of this park is a concert series between Thursday and the Philbin Arts Farm and the men's soccer. The men's soccer league draw more people over the course of a whole season than the concerts do because it's every single week and.
And there's a lot of people in this community that play soccer,
Right.
and so I think it would be something not overly expensive if we're just gonna turn a
Gonna make it-
portion into a field. Because here I'm like trying to fill in holes here and there, but then they'll come and put a big 6-inch hole in the ground and tear it up. And they have to play over the pitcher's mound over there, and it's like, there would be no way to make it nice and consistent as we're going for. And over there, yeah, like Kurt was saying,
They also have to do much less damage at Nate Goose. They spend equal time in both places, but just because of the firmness of the ground. Over there, they're fine, same amount of food, but
Yeah.
over there, there's less footprints. This can really get dug up like it. Sometimes in March, when the golden season starts, takes a couple of weeks for things to smooth out and mow. The tracks are done, they fill in and take care of themselves, but.
Well, I appreciate you bringing it forward. I think it sounds like a good idea for currently an underutilized area. It's just as even as the name is mentioned, we want to make sure that it was, if we had temporary in front of it, temporary soccer areas as the council weighs in. And my only concern would be is, are we setting up for conflict in the future when the council comes back and seeking visions, paths and plantings?
I would definitely push back for a temporary soccer field with that location at this point, because there's no public restrooms. over
Good
that
point.
site.
Yeah.
We have the Second Street restrooms here that get utilized heavily, because they get a good crowd of folks that attend these soccer games.
I was thinking parking too. It's
Correct,
that's
so
parking. That's why I was a restaurant. It's-
I would discourage it for temporary use this time.
Yeah.
I was thinking,
That's all we need.
You were thinking in the long run.
I was thinking in the long run,
Oh,
it's all.
Yeah.
being next summer, and they say, we're in this, again, we're back to me, kind of square one with the whole Nate Goose property. And this should be one element of that conversation, I think, and it seems like it's gonna be a park. Then, I don't wanna quote Tom, he can weigh in if he wants, but don't, you hate to have this open park space and then design the hell out of it. And there's, all over the place and
Like the old playground and the bathroom.
Yeah, and just keep it
Okay.
Simple.
simple and usable, and I don't know, so I'm thinking the long term. I like to see it be at least part of the conversation before they jump to all the little, like, we should call them, communities part.
Okay, well, that helps.
Community gardens and this and that, and amphitheaters and all kinds of
And
stuff.
kind of the way I see it is, you know, when you first come into town over the bridge, you have a carload of people and kids, the first thing they're thinking is, okay, where can I let these kids out and where can we go to the bathroom? And,
Yeah,
you
you're right.
know, it would take a lot of stress off of our overused other restrooms also, I think. And then connect the park to a park.
Oh, yeah, there's a trail.
And I would think the redesign would be overly expensive as compared to things in the past. All right, thanks, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks, Radar.
I believe that's a good idea that we should not let fall through the crack. I wanted to kind of touch base on the NACUS situation as part of the good of the order. Get a sense on what the Parks Committee's role is looking like these days. But we'll touch on that here in a little bit. We've got one big packet as I see it on the right-of-way trees. Trevor, you want to touch base on that?
Let me look at the packet. Wanna lock that door?
I got you.
We just got a big gust of wind last night, knocked open this door over here, so just give us one moment. That's the 6 trees, right? That's what's on this packet. Yeah, so these 6 trees are located on a tax lot that the city owns. A significant size tax lot the city owns on the north side. In between Laurel and Ash Street, undeveloped Ash Street is, there as well. We had a tree fall down. We had so many windstorms, I couldn't tell you when, but it was about a month ago, and, it hit the adjacent property fence, luckily didn't do any damage. But I took that opportunity to invite Jeff Pierhart out and just kind of evaluate, the health of the trees, especially on the eastern edge of our property there. If they go down, they potentially could hit, somebody's, residential home. So Jeff did an evaluation of the whole site there, and that's what he deemed necessary for removal. Its trees are dead, or they're failing significantly, and they pose danger to existing structures.
So this was done at the city's own initiative. There wasn't a request from a neighbor.
Well,
Started it.
got a phone call from a resident there, so I had to go look at the tree and remove the tree from his property. I can tell you this much, all the surrounding properties are very excited that we're removing these trees. We'll take the opportunity, we removed a tree in this location last year, and I believe AJ, you planted a redwood back there.
Yeah, it's doing well.
And so we'll take that opportunity to plant back, and some healthy trees in there and make that area thrive again.
Okay. Was there any public comment when this got posted?
No,
Okay.
Well, I'm supportive of it, and anytime you should be proactive in recognizing danger trees and then removing the danger to life or property, always support with that. I also know that, from your, behaviors in the past, that it doesn't fit here, but if there's a tree that you can make into a snag, you know, we're gonna maintain some of these areas around town as natural areas. These snags produce a lot of, unique habitat, and so where we can, I just encourage you to continue to look at leaving a short snag, where it wouldn't pose a life or property hazard for.
and that discussion happened, so when I get worked over there to remove these trees, Jeff Earhart's actually gonna meet him on site, and we're gonna discuss potential habitat, and just removing the hazard and leaving the habitat, bird habitat.
Excellent,
So
thank you.
that's gonna be a team effort when we do this.
Very good, thanks.
Yeah, that all sounds great. Trevor, I noticed that there was some English ivy in Jeff's note. Is there an opportunity for us to go in and clean up some ivy in that city owned spot?
leave there is, but, at this point, I want to remove the hazard trees, and then accessing the site's pretty difficult. Because the Ash Street right away to the west was undeveloped. And in order to access this property, I have to get permission from one of the private property owners to go into their backyard pretty much. And it's, there's some steep grades back there as well, but we will definitely look at this site at a later date once I do this initial removal.
Okay, any comments or further discussion on the right of way trees from the
The
committee?
access on where the developer actually stops and, going towards the south.
Yeah.
What is, it's quite a climb.
Quite a climb. But I'll take a look at it. Maybe I can encourage some of those neighbors just to go back there and join your team and get some involved and we can help out.
That'd be good.
All right, from AJ's comment, sounded like we had a good cleanup effort. Who was involved and was this, we didn't have one, Betty, I think, as a group. So this was the college kids?
This was the Ecola College kids. We're talking about the Cannon Beach Academy. I'm sorry, but the sound is so weird. I'm having a hard time hearing, but anyway, the Cola kids came into the school and they did the whole property that the city is graciously allowing us to use as an outdoor learning center. And so they removed all the invasives. They're amazing hard workers. So the pile was enormous that when they finished, and they did the whole job. So now we can start working on planting pollinators there and making it into the kids are calling it a pollinator paradise. So we're excited. We're very excited about it.
Wonderful. Wow. Thank you to the college kids for being such good workers.
Yeah.
Any other comments on that piece of it, or shall we move ahead? All right, so Tree City USA, Sherry, do you have an update on that?
Barb's application received and accepted, and I think it's gonna go to the board for, I wanna say it's approved, but not yet. But it looks good, so.
Good.
Well, I'll have that as soon as the board, gives me the A-OK, I'll let you guys know. Great.
Well, I have every confidence that Barb knows how to do that. Yep. Okay, so 12 days of Earth Day, and as you know, and there was some discussion last time about this being kind of a working session to talk about how we want to do 12 days of Earth Day. Can you hear me at all, Betty? I see you're struggling.
I can hear you, Les. I just
Oh,
can't hear the room.
It's the room. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not quite sure how to do this. Stacy, you're new back to us. Can I make a few comments? The way I understand, we've kind of been wanting to go, and then we can talk as a group. What we I think want to do is maintain the 12 days of Earth Day activities that are normally associated in April right at actual Earth Day. That would be the shred event, the parade, the street fair, the tree planting on Earth Day, but not try to fill out a full 12 days at that exact time. But we wanted to have 12 events. And so what Betty and I anyway talked about was, what if we had one event a month through the course of the year that was Earth Day themed, that was, and it, that's a very broad definition. And we could probably get better participation than what we see. This past year, we had big events that fell on both of the weekends that fell in our 12 days. And it's a lot of work and we weren't seeing a lot of attendance is kind of the way I would put it anyway. So we've been talking about it. I know that Betty's talked to Karen, Lamont before she left some, and I did as well. So some things that I penciled in were, we don't want to make any additional burdens on the city staff. These outside of the street fair, shred event kind of things. These other events would be more in the nature of presentations by other groups, maybe. But it wouldn't require Trevor or his guys to do anything. We would simply have to find a venue and schedule it and put it, and publicize it. It would be good if we could collaborate with other organizations. And we talked about, I think, several that were coming up after the first of the year that we might be able to start with. And then we would use the city's calendar and the city's Facebook page to publicize. So these would still be recognized as city events in some sense. And so that's kind of what I thought we would do. And so it would simply take some of this burden that piles up on this committee to put 12 days together, host 12 days, and then immediately start community grants. We're trying, in some sense, trying to spread that burden out a little bit, but still honor Earth Day and what it means. I guess my final thought on it was we do need to run this by the council, probably in January. I'm suspecting. I don't know if it's a council approved approval required. Trevor probably has an opinion on that, but I do know we need to talk to them and tell them what we want to try to do.
Council would have to be updated. I don't think it would happen in the January session. That would have to be a Jen decision to see where she's pitching in.
Yeah, I understand.
February 10th.
Yeah, and if it, yeah, and I understand, Trevor. I was just saying, we're already at the start of the year, so the sooner we can get it in front of the council, the better off we'll be. That kind of thing. I was kind of looking at the calendar. So Earth Day next year is on April 22nd, as it always is. But that's a Wednesday next year. The Get Lit is going to occupy that immediately preceding weekend. So we will be having our street fair and parade kind of things concurrently with Get Lit.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that we would do our shred event and hopefully the Recology event again, because I thought that was great, on the 17th, the parade and the street fair on the 18th, and then the tree planting on Earth Day, like we normally do. Now, that's just my read of the calendar, but I thought it would be good to kind of get some dates out so we can be thinking about what it means. All right, so I've had my spiel. That's what I think I heard and where conversations were going. Betty, do you have any additions to that?
Oh, yes. I was just thinking the things we want to do around that we don't want to get rid of around that 12 days is as you mentioned, the shred, the parade, the fair. How about the Gaylord Nelson, Stacy? Are we going to keep doing that?
That's a good question. I have not talked to anybody about that. It is not a Parks Committee award. So we do that as a favor to the Gaylord Nelson group to plan an event and give out the award. I can check in with the group and see what they think. It's honestly, we've had very poor attendance. Every time we've done it, we've had very poor attendance. But I know that award is important to a lot of people. So, I can certainly reach out.
Okay, so that was one question. Another one is we have had the beach cleanup every year on that day that we have the fair. That is something that Janae has been doing, and I think she wants to resign from that position. So I feel we should still do the beach cleanup if possible on that weekend. I'd like to not have that go away. And then we also sometimes do not on that day of the fair, but we also do kind of our weekend warrior thing on the weekend before, as in honoring the earth. So I think we should keep having that happening. So those are the things I would like to keep. And then also the HRAP has their Puffin Welcome. So that's kind of fits in really easily for that weekend. So those are the things I'm thinking we should concentrate on having during the 12 days, the old 12 days. And then, as Les said, spread everything out over the year where we would have significant connections with different nonprofits, and have somebody come and talk and present things that are interesting to our city. So I don't have much to add to what Les said.
No, but thank,
Yeah, I've got something here, Chris, the Public Works Director, received an email last week from Michael Chang. He's willing, he says he wants to be visiting April 20th to the 22nd, if you'd like to volunteer. Does that name ring a bell with anyone? Because it doesn't with me.
not with me.
So who's gonna be in charge of the volunteers this year for this birthday? Is there one of you folks that volunteers to get the volunteers? rounded up?
I could do that because that's what I did last year, so I can still do it.
So I'll have Chris send you the email that he received, so you can reach out to this gentleman and make sure that he gets set up with all the correct waiver forms.
Great. Okay.
So I may have misunderstood. Was he interested in the street fair or
He just wants to volunteer.
just wants to volunteer? All right.
It sounded to me like he's done this before in the past, because the dates are pretty precise with the Earth Day.
Yeah, I see that. Okay.
Got maybe just a question, Betty, you might know best because you've been kind of liaisoning with some of the other groups. Because I see also on the Saturday, April 25th, that we've got listed on here the North Coast Land Conservancy 7 Capes Bird Alliance presentation like we did last year. My question would be is, I don't know if you already you got a commitment for that in 2026, or if we were looking at minimizing or reducing the amount of things that are happening on that day, that probably would draw a pretty good sized group, but I'm not sure how it did last year. So have you talked to them at all about coming in 26? I thought I saw an email. And should we continue that on that Saturday, or maybe look at that as an opportunity to really pull some people in? A lot of folks even hear the name of the organization, they'll go, well, they've got something I want to hear. So what's the thought about including that on that Saturday, which is already pretty full?
Well, I have to step in just for a second and let you guys know I wasn't, getting any direction, so I took last year's calendar, plugged in this year's dates, and of course, it's a work session, kind of, not necessarily a work session, but you guys can change anything on that as you need to see fit. I was just trying to guide you, of what you had last year and what you can possibly do this year. So change dates, change people, I just, like a lot of it's bread, those are the things you probably, I think, just to guide you, so. I kind of just did that on them.
You did a great job of starting the discussion.
Right.
Absolutely.
I kind of try to get guidance, you guys can change that around as you see, but trying to help you guys out from what we had last year. Anyway,
I heard Les just say, talked about changing the dates altogether, so the street fair is the 18th instead of 25th.
Right,
So, okay, so
so you'll wanna make those corrections as you see fit, and then, get that out to me so I can.
that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
I was just trying to help you guys.
It's just a template. We
Thanks.
still.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you, Sherry, for putting that stuff in. I apologize. I was, I guess, traveling and had my head somewhere else. I should have gotten with you a little bit better than I did, for sure. Anyway, so that was the North Coast Watershed Association. Was that right, Mark?
Well, the one I was referencing that we put on here as a placeholder, just as a thought, because it occurred in 25, was the North Coast Land Conservancy. But it seems we've already got a good working relationship with them, and with Betty and others' help, we're developing our relationship with the North Coast Watershed Association. They're two different groups. But
Correct.
it seems like they're both organized enough that they might fit into one of the other months. You know, if we were going, hey, this could be a key presenter on one of the other months. And if I recall working with them last year, as far as scheduling it, is that because they are professional organizations, is that they do a lot of other things on the weekends, is that doing something not on that Saturday afternoon work better for their staff.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I completely, I understand. Okay. So what I was thinking, presuming that, you know, the folks on the committee are kind of on board with trying something like this, that we would get a short list of the people that we think might be willing to present, or like I say, if we know that HRAP has already got something scheduled and they're willing to work with us or let us participate in their event, we can do that. And then I would be willing to talk to those people, try to get an idea about how big of a venue we might need, and then go ahead and start talking to the History Center, Tolovana Hall, maybe the Seidel Room there at the Chamber, and start trying to get the venue set up well in advance, so that it would come together pretty quick and we could have a fairly firm calendar for basically the year. It's kind of the way I thought we might work it. And as Mark says, we do not have to have these on a Saturday. The only date that we really hang our hat on is Earth Day, and that's always April 22nd. But the rest of the months we could be very flexible, I think.
To me, that's one of the beauties of it, is we can be more flexible. We're not trying to jam it in to a small time period. As we were discussing in the last meeting, the Pelican Brewery is having every night. They did it in November, December, and January and February. They're doing an event with friends of Haystack Rock, and one is on mushrooming, just different things that we actually, I would love it if a lot of people would show up to those events, because they fit right into what our vision is to have every month have something special. They're already doing it. So I don't know what they would feel about us connecting with what they're doing, but we could help advertise it for them. So I think Mark was going to check in with that. Mark, did you get a chance to do that?
No, I still have it on there. I spontaneously just tried to stop by and talk to the manager, and he wasn't available. And so I was going to arrange a time to actually go back in and do that. So, and I was trying to combine it with some other business that I might have there. So, I still will do it. I haven't forgot about it.
I just gotta break something up. It feels like I'm just full of bad news today. But we have to be very cautious with that involving any kind of business, and especially promoting on our city Facebook page or anything city related. We're advertising, the Pelican or any other business, I think that's gonna get a hard no. Just be cautious of that, okay?
and might add to that, if this is HSAC rock awareness program, the
Friends is HSAC.
Friends of HSAC, okay, I would get with Friends of HSAC. I mean, if they're already got the events going, we would want to promote Friends of HSAC because they're a part of our HSAC rock awareness program. I would go to them because you're wanting to attach yourself to what they're already doing, correct?
Yeah.
So they would be the ones that I would think you'd want to get in touch with.
Sorry, guys, my next comment will be something awesome, okay?
Thanks,
Well,
Jeff.
that's good to know before I go in there.
Yeah, I can't have a city emblem on anything, or, you know,
So if we, what would be your thoughts? I'm not trying to get around that, but what would be your thoughts if we collaborated with Friends of Haystack Rock? And it happened to be that their event is at Pelican facility.
I don't see an issue with that, I would wanna run that by Jen and get her opinion on that, and possibly the city attorney. And see how that would work out, because if there's a city function, you know, events. We're hiding you guys, so there are some restrictions on that, but I think that avenue is the correct avenue path to go down. See what we can do. I can give you a hard no on promoting anything on the city website.
That makes sense. Because Friends of Haystack Rock are not.
Correct, they're not affiliated with the city.
They're nonprofit.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. That helps.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you, Trevor.
I think one of our goals would be to really collaborate. I mean, get the NCLC, the Watershed Group, Haystack Rock, the people that come to our fair, if we could really kind of get together with them and say, look, this is what we're doing. Can you help us out? And which month would you like to choose so that we could highlight you wherever your venue is. We have so few venues in town that we can meet. So wherever the venue is, we won't be advertising the venue. We would be advertising the event, which is earth related, which our city is very, has always been an earth related, earth forward city. So I hope we could get around the idea that it's happening in a venue in a business, because we don't have a lot of venues to have presentations. So anyway.
Well, I think that's part of the reason why working on it as far in advance as we can, I think will be to our benefit.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay. So, any other thoughts on how we might proceed? I'd kind of like to get at least a start of a list of organizations, and maybe Betty's suggestion, just look at who comes to our street fair last year, maybe be a start. So that I'll talk to Jen or Trevor, maybe you will on our behalf, about when can we talk to the council. And but I would be able to show them a list of the kinds of people we would like to speak. I think they would want to know that.
Yeah, I'll have Chris bring it up at one of their department head meetings, because that's where they discuss the council agenda and where they're gonna fit stuff in.
Right.
I'll talk to Chris about that.
Okay, that would be great. I think I think the people who are approved by the city for the street fair probably won't cause any concern of anybody, but they might. I don't know. But if we go ahead and get that started.
I would just advise before you go, when you're at city council giving your vision for this, it's clear and precise.
Right.
Then I'll make a decision or give input on it.
I think that makes sense. So I'll make the request. Betty, I know who was at the street fair.
And
go ahead.
No, the list Sherry put out is on our computer right now of who came.
Right.
So that's easy to pull up.
Yep. And then I'll simply make the request of the committee members, if there's someone else that maybe outside that I would like to get them on a list now, and then we'll be able to find out if that's possible. So if that'll work.
Les, do me a favor, let's do this the right way. Let's shoot an email to Chris, myself, and Sherry, requesting that you guys want to go in front of council to give your vision for Earth Day moving forward, 12 days.
I'll do that.
Thank you.
One quick thing for me, just again for clarification of the participants at the Earth Day Fair. I know we've talked about this before, but they either need to be like a 501c3 nonprofit or at least not commercial. Is that correct? And if they are commercial in any way, what's the feeling or the thoughts or the regulation, I guess, for sales at the Earth Day Fair? And I just see on here that, you know, we've got native plants, which would be great. They participated in the past and, you know, I bought a couple, but is that gonna be okay to have small sales, or would everything have to be donation or
I
something
think
like
it
that?
does list in their packet, they have, if it's a nonprofit, that they could, because we have had a drop sell their sweatshirts and things, but
Okay,
one thing that we need to be clear on is this is an invitation. When we have them fill out those documents, it has to get approved by Chris. For them to participate. I wanna make sure that that's clear, it's an invitation. We're not just opening it up to public. Anyway,
Also, I'll tag team on that is, that goes along with the presentations as well, when people are presenting, Chris and I need to see a draft form of kind of the structure of what the presentation is gonna be about.
That's in our manual, is that procedure is in our manual. So if we should all read the manual so that we know the procedure, who we have to get okayed when we want to add something to an event. And then if we need to change our manual because we're changing this, maybe that's something we need to look at too.
I don't think we can change the manual because that manual was dictated by our city attorney. Since it is a city function, that's in place to protect the city, so there's no changing that.
Okay.
We may, I thought about that, Betty. I really don't know that there's a huge amount of change that we would want to make if we, you know, if we could. And it might be better to just make an addendum if we need to, that could be run by the attorney separately without we can figure it out, but I think so far we're okay. Any other thoughts on what I think we're going to continue to call the 12 days of Christmas, or just not consecutive?
12 days of Christmas or Earth Day?
Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? Duh. No, the 12 days of Christmas will stay the same. 12 days of Earth Day is what I meant. Thank you, Trevor. All right. So if there's nothing further on that specific thing, I think we've got a good framework. Good of the order. Anybody got anything to share? No? Well, I would like to ask the group about where do we sit with regard to NACUS? I've been out of town for a couple of months and not really privy to all of the discussions. What role does this committee going to play in the immediate future, or is it all being handled by the city council?
I thought we were pretty clear on last meeting where we have to, city council directs us. I think it was brought up in last meeting, if I stand corrected, Trevor, you remember, kind of piped up, and she specifically said where we needed to, what process, the process that parks could be active, but it has to be after they've figured out all of the use.
That's why I encourage everyone, when you guys all know when they're talking about the schools, attend the meeting, send a letter, public comment, do any of that stuff. That's how I encourage this moving forward, and I think, can't speak for council, but as they get deeper into the design, I would imagine they would involve you guys at some point with that. But again, that's council's decision, but there's no reason you guys can't voice your opinions. With a simple letter to be put in the record and public comment.
Okay, and that sounds appropriate to me. I appreciate it, though. I wasn't completely clear on how they were proceeding. So that'll work for me.
Yeah. I think they're kind of, I can't speak for council, but it's just Trevor speaking, I kind of figured that they're gonna start looking at, possible, hiring engineers or designers, to go to the next step of this project.
At the park.
Yes.
Speaking of historic, I think that you could offer your services to the council. Like, you might be disagreeing with Karen a little bit. You do have a role designing the park, for God's sakes. I mean, as their advisor, like, contact them individually, but also say, as a member of the Parks Committee, feel free to ask us to join you in some decision making or advise you or, boy, the Parks Committee, I think, does have a role in designing some future park.
And I think the council understands that.
Yeah, I just want
They're
to.
not trying to shut anyone down, they want everybody's opinion on this.
Probably mainly like, they don't want you making decisions about the park.
No, you don't have, no,
Yeah.
yeah, right, I don't need that, but.
Mm.
I just hate to see him hire a landscape architect, park design firm, and give him a cut him loose with. We want these 15 elements, see what we come up with.
Yeah, well, just for my own, and I'm only speaking for myself, I would really like to see someone, hopefully it's the council, or even if it falls to this group, to have some public meetings and try to talk to people prior to making any commitment that we can't change. So I'm not convinced we're still all on the same page. But that's just me.
Probably
Okay.
never will be, and that's one of the key issues is that you've got to have some consensus because we're never going to get anything done waiting for everyone to agree to one concept. And that's what everyone needs to kind of understand going into it with their ideas. None of us are going to get 100% of what we want for that park.
Sounds very reasonable.
Yeah.
It's harder to do though, but I understand.
Well,
Yeah. Well, is there anything else for the meeting? If not,
I
Well,
had
maybe
one
just-
question. There
Tell-
was limb walkers. There was a public notice on limb walkers. Is that just for a contract for them to come in and cut trees or something? I wasn't clear.
Yeah, that is correct. It's, Joe Birch has been doing our tree services for many years for trimming and also hazard removals. Nothing's changing, we just cleaning it up a little bit, so he's under contract.
Okay.
And it also allows us, some push and pull with them. If there is an emergency tree removal, in the past, Joe would just, respond, drop what he's doing wherever he was to come, to the needs of the city. This just kind of solidifies it, in place. And, he's always taking great care of this community, and I want to continue that.
Yeah, I just saw that the Parks Committee was named and that Sherry was kind of the respondent for any public comments. So I was just kind of curious how that fit into Parks Committee.
Yeah, we had to advertise it, legally, we had to advertise it in case there was any other tree services that also wanted to be under the same kind of contract.
Right, got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
I guess the only thing I'd have as a member of the Parks Committee, just want to thank the city, this year, your leadership, Trevor, it's been great. Keeping us on track, providing input, making sure we don't get straight too much. Getting the meeting notices and minutes back there from Sherry, and then of course the work that Kirk and AJ are doing. It's really exceptional. It's kind of a pleasure to be part of this effort here. So thanks for that, and really appreciate everything you do throughout the year.
The end of the year award ceremony.
Yeah.
You guys are awesome. Yeah, you're awesome.
Yeah.
thank you
Merry
so much.
Christmas, happy holidays, everybody, and thank
Meeting-
you to
Meeting
everybody.
adjourned. Happy holidays. I have to go find my